Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, we'll talk to State Corrections Director Charles Ryan about the recent disturbances at a privately run prison in Kingman. Find out why a local economist says more college graduates in Arizona will benefit all of us. And there's a new way for Arizona businesses to come up with cash. All that next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Christina Estes in for Ted Simons. We've heard about 3 incidents at the state prison complex in Kingman last week. The Arizona Department of Corrections describes one as a riot. The 4 days of violence and unrest led to 9 staff members and 4 inmates being hurt, and housing units so badly damaged that more than 1,100 inmates had to be moved to other facilities. Here to talk about what happened is Charles Ryan. He's director of the Corrections Department. Thanks so much for taking the time to come in. We appreciate it. Before we get to what happened in Kingman, can you give us an overview of the state prison system in Arizona? How many inmates? How many prisons?
We have 10 state prison complexes located throughout the state, and we also have 6 private prison contracts. We have a total of 42,600 inmates in custody and another 5,800 inmates under supervision in the community following their release.
And how does the private system work? Who works there? Are they private employees, state employees? Who pays the private facilities and who oversees them?
They're private contracts, and we contract with 3 different firms. Management Training Corporation, which is where this riot occurred in Kingman, the CCA facility in Eloy, and the GEO facility in Florence and in West Phoenix. The employees of the private prisons are in fact their employees. And what we have to ensure contract compliance, we have state employees and monitors on site at each of these locations to ensure that the policies are being adhered to and the contract is being fulfilled.
And you mentioned the Kingman facility is run by the Utah-based Management and Training Corps. This is where 3,500 minimum and medium custody inmates are housed or were housed before what happened last week. We have an aerial view of the facility that we can put up the complex, and you can sort of walk us through what happened where.
Let me do that briefly, and if you look, let me orient you in the unit in the upper right. That is the Wallapai unit. It is a medium security unit, and all the inmates housed there are in a dormitory environment. When you look at the L-shaped facility in the bottom left, that is a minimum security unit for 2,000. It is divided in half, and there's 1,000 inmates on each half. The entire facility, with the exception of the detention unit cells, are all dormitories.
And it's that minimum where the trouble started last Wednesday, right?
It did on the 1st. It began with, there were 1,999 inmates there. They had to make room for one that needed to be put in detention. One inmate was brought out, African American. Other African American inmates went after him. He sought safe haven, and then those inmates attacked the corrections officers that were there.
And that you describe as a disturbance, unrest. What's the definition between riot versus unrest?
Well, technically we have minor and major, and frankly, for the sake of your audience, we were able to restore order relatively quickly. For the viewer, when you look at the pictures that are being shown, when you consider the amount, the dollar value for the damage in the medium security unit and how long it was prolonged, a riot is a common term.
So it started the minimum, and then you had trouble in the medium. A couple of things happened there, right?
On July 2nd, the medium unit had a problem in the evening, starting in one of the dormitories. It was about 8 o'clock in the evening. The Ramadan meal had just been completed. Inmates were being put away in the dormitories for the night, and one inmate got into an altercation verbally with a corrections officer, and then from inside the dormitory, the inmates started tearing the place up. It went on throughout the night. Staff were not able to control those inmates, so in the early morning hours at about 6 o'clock, the inmates, if you will, gave up, and in 2 of the buildings we brought out 700 inmates and put them on the ground in flex cuffs. I went ahead and followed my deputy director and inspector general, and I flew up, did an assessment, and made the decision to declare an emergency to go ahead and move inmates to other facilities because what they had torn up was no longer habitable. And we worked that list from the County Board of Supervisors Association and reached out and found bed space for the 700 and put those inmates on the ground and made a plan to start moving them out later that day and into the night. What transpired next on July 4th, at about 10 minutes to 2 in the afternoon, the other housing units, the remaining 3 in the Wallapai unit, also erupted. I'm certain those inmates figured out that inmates were being moved away from that facility elsewhere, and they probably thought, well, we know how to get out of here. Let's go ahead and riot, and we'll travel as well. By this time, the Department of Corrections had 120 of our staff, 96 of which were tactical support unit officers, and there were canine officers on site to augment and support what was being attempted by MTC. Basically, in a very aggressive way, took control of the riot and put it down in about an hour and 15 minutes. And then the next thing, all of those inmates were out on the ground, and they spent the rest of the 4th of July and into the morning of the 5th on the ground in flex cuffs.
When you talk about the state prison employees that you brought in to help, we know local law enforcement, DPS also were called in to help make sure the perimeter stayed safe, that no one got out. We had 13 people between staff and inmate hurt, 4 out of 5 of the housing units uninhabitable right now. Who pays for all this? Management
Training Corporation is going to foot the bill. This is not going to be a burden to the taxpayer of Arizona. It was their facility, and it was greatly damaged and all but destroyed, and they are going to have to renovate it. And they will have to pay for the expenses related to the relocation of the 1,168 people that we've moved.
Are you mad about this?
We're not pleased with what's occurring. Governor Ducey and I are equally concerned about this, and we are conducting a twofold investigation. One is a criminal investigation for the crimes that have occurred. The rioting and destruction of property is criminal, and the department's criminal investigation unit is conducting that investigation. In terms of trying to understand what caused this, we have brought in an assessment team, other staff from the Department of Corrections, to do that assessment of the administration, the emergency response, the operational practices, what was going on with inmate programming, and the like. And people, we've heard some questioning, well, why are you investigating? Well, that's what we do. It's our responsibility to conduct that investigation. We are transparent. That report will be forthcoming upon completion, and the outcome of that certainly is going to have to include with options and recommendations to the governor.
This facility opened in 2004. There's a history. Earlier this year, there was an inmate reportedly raped and murdered, the family suing the state as well as the private contractor. 5 years ago, 3 inmates escaped, 2 of those involved in a murder of a couple in New Mexico. At that time, you held a news conference and laid out the state report and cited things like ill-equipped facilities and disrespectful inmates, faulty alarms, inadequate oversight. You also cited a lack of confidence in the private contractor. Are you confident today?
I think that's going to end up being part of our assessment in the final analysis. It is very concerning what occurred 5 years ago. I know that quite well. I'm the one that conducted that press conference and led that investigation. And I have conveyed to the CEO of MTC, we're going to go through the same process again that we had used before, and it remains to be seen what the outcome is going to be.
Is the facility, do you think the private contractor is running a safe facility for inmates and for the public when we look at what happened last week and the escape 5 years ago? Should it be shut down?
I don't think that is a conclusion that I'm ready to consider. I want to see what the facts are and find out what my team determines. They've been there since Monday, and they will be there for at least 2 weeks before they'll be in a position to start providing me with recommendations or their findings.
A spokesperson for this Utah-based company has reportedly said that staffing wasn't an issue involving last week's events. Is that a fair statement? Is it too soon to say? Do you have any idea?
I know that the staffing pattern, that they have at least 60 vacant COs out of about 380, so that's a concern. It's been explained to me, and I understand that the way that they cover the vacancy is through overtime. So that is something that has to be looked at, because people get tired and you cannot depend solely on overtime to cover posts.
60 vacancies out of, you said 380?
380 corrections officer positions.
Is that, would that be acceptable in a state-run prison?
We too have vacant positions in the Department of Corrections. We have 6,640 positions, of which about 550 are vacant. It was 620, but we've looked at some processes to reduce the time it takes to recruit and get people to come to the academy. So we're gaining ground as far as the state facilities.
What kind of timeline do you have for the investigation?
I'm hoping to have it completed by the end of the month, and then we will go ahead and submit our recommendations to the governor and his staff.
Charles Ryan, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Arizona has fewer college graduates in the workforce compared to the national average, and that's costing our state, according to the author of a new report. Dennis Hoffman is an Arizona State University economist and director of the L. William Seidman Research Institute in the W.P. Carey School of Business. He joins us now, and thanks for coming in.
Great to be with you, Christina.
Tell me about this report. What was the focus?
Well, this report grows out of some literature that we've been following, say, over the last 10 to 15 years. And there's a couple of economists, one in particular, that has really studied this workforce composition question. So this is about just simply changing the composition of the Arizona labor force. Everybody knows if we had more college graduates and we could just dump them into Arizona or attract them somehow, that things would get better. But what we did is we focused on a really kind of interesting experiment where we converted partial college degree holders at a faster pace. We converted them into full college degree holders.
So people who've gone to some school but haven't completed,
Yes.
They don't have
We're
that degree.
actually above the national average in the partial degree holder category, which is kind of interesting. So there's this pool out there that haven't completed. So what we've done is done a simulation where we get those folks completed, and we raise over time the labor force share of people with a college degree. And things get better in this state, markedly better. It's about a 5% bump overall in real terms, and that's a lot of money.
I looked at your report and it says the national average for bachelor's degree or higher is 36%, Arizona's 32%. Doesn't seem huge to some people, but it is, right?
And we're not narrowing the gap right now. We're kind of losing on that. The nation's growing faster than we are.
Why is that?
Well, historically, what we've done is our job base, and a lot of this is driven by what jobs are available. Our job base has been closer to, let's say, population growth serving jobs that don't require college degrees. And so therefore we kind of get by. In teaching for 37 years now at ASU, I've encountered many students who really the mindset was, hey, I just need a little bit of college and I'm going to go back and work in the local business, maybe the family business, or work where I know somebody and do fine. That's really changing. I think our landscape now in Arizona is changing dramatically, and I think it's the imperative now that we aspire to find more job opportunities for those college-educated kids. So this isn't about just producing more students, by the way. That's only half the battle. You have to also produce job opportunities that employ them. Because if you just produce more and you don't have the job opportunities, they go elsewhere.
And we all know, we've seen statistics over and over that show someone with a college degree is going to earn more over their lifetime than someone without.
Correct. That's the easy piece.
Right. But you also talk about this spillover effect.
Yes.
And so what does that mean, and why should I care if there are more people who have college degrees? What's in it for me?
Well, if you have a college degree, obviously you're reaping the benefits. But the interesting thing is benefits do accrue to the existing partial degree holders, high school degree recipients, and even high school dropouts. If you look at geographies, if you look at economies that have higher labor force shares of college grads, everybody benefits. So the cliche is rising tide lifts all boats. How does it work? It's about productivity. It's about knowledge. It's about synergies in the workforce. It's about attracting, so with higher numbers of college grads in the workforce, that means you have higher margin firms, you have firms that pay higher wages, you have firms that have the wherewithal to pay higher wages, not just to the college grads, but to the rest of their workforce, because they're more productive, higher margin firms. And so it's about knowledge, skills, and they cascade through the economy. And the literature here is very strong, both geographically in terms of where these college grads reside and in the industries in which they permeate.
Geographically, where are they if they're not in Arizona?
Well, this has been a challenge for us. Everybody knows about the Bay Area. The Bay Area is huge. California is really very interesting. The west side of California attracts far more college graduates than does the east side of the state. And the east side is, of course, more like the economy, if you would, of Arizona or of Nevada. So the urban centers have really been really key recently. The Seattles, of course, the Bay Area in California, San Diego, Boston, Austin, Research Triangle, that kind of thing. These are great aspirant places, I think, for Arizona to be thinking about. We need to be thinking about being more like those places than, just a place where Donald Trump and Joe Arpaio want to come to the party.
So how do we do that? How do we get people to finish
those degrees?
It's a lot of
work. It's a lot of work. It's incumbent upon the education establishment, the universities, the junior, it all begins in the K-12s, but then the community colleges, the universities, it actually, let me back up, it begins before the K-12s. It actually begins at home, and setting these bars, setting these goals to aspire to more and more college degrees or technical routes or training to fill high margin labor force opportunities. That's really where it begins. And then on the other side, our economic development effort has to be geared toward attracting these high margin firms.
A topic we'll certainly address again in the future. Thanks so much,
Indeed,
Dennis
we
Hoffman.
will, Christina. Have a great evening.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
new state law kicked into effect a few days ago that allows businesses to bypass banks to get the money they need. It follows a federal law that allows equity crowdfunding. Here to talk about it is Rick Murray. He is CEO of the Arizona Small Business Association. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Enjoy talking about small business.
Well, a lot of us are familiar with crowdfunding. We think of Kickstarter, Indiegogo. We've seen businesses that use that, you know, donate $50, get a t-shirt or something like that. How is equity crowdfunding different?
Well, what's different in this is that now small businesses can raise capital through selling shares in their company without going through an initial public offering or through and lower than the threshold of the Securities Exchange Commission. So it's kind of like Shark Tank. We all watch Shark Tank and we say, well, I want to raise $100,000. I'm going to give away 25% of my company. And then you go out and you put this on a portal and you put a business plan together and you solicit your idea and hopefully you get your donations. The interesting thing about the Arizona law is that it allows for all of us to participate. Currently, those types of offerings were only made available to what we called accredited investors, which those are people who are worth $1 million and make up to $200,000 a year. Well, that obviously was just for a small group of people. So now we've got everybody can now invest in this, and it really sets a limit in regards to how much can be raised from an individual investor as well. Is only at $10,000 at the maximum. We know that a lot of companies won't even go to that level as well.
Can you walk us through it? Say I'm a business owner and I need, I don't know, you give me a scenario. You're the business guy here. Give me a scenario. Who might use this?
Okay, this may be in different verticals. Maybe it's a real estate company. Maybe it's a technology company or a healthcare company. But so now I've got this this company, and I need to take the next step in taking and raise some dollars to be able to hire more people. We heard Dennis Hoffman talk about opportunity for more graduates here. I think this is really a game changer in creating jobs here in Arizona when this thing really starts to kick in. So then you then have this idea. You create a business plan. It's going to be overseen by the Corporation Commission. You register with the Corporation Commission as a securities dealer, and it's only for Arizona residents, for Arizona companies. So it's very homegrown. So you can't get a Texas investor to come in and invest in your company or a California investor to come in. So it's specifically for Arizona. And we really think, we're one of about 23 states who have now passed this law. I think Arizona actually is much further ahead of the curve than most of them in regards that most of what the practicality of what the law and put it into effect is actually written into the law. So as soon as we can find somebody and an internet portal to host these things, I think we'll start seeing some activity. But we're still waiting for the private enterprise to come in and have an internet portal to host these, just like you say, in those Kickstarter opportunities.
That's what I was just going to ask. If I wanted to find an Arizona business that I wanted to invest in, right now we're...
Well, yeah, so the law just went live as of July 3rd. And so it's had a 60-day resting period before it came law. And so there are a lot of companies that I've heard from personally that are interested in developing and building these portals. And these portals may be for all companies. They may be industry specific, as I said before. Maybe it's for real estate, or maybe it's for healthcare or technology, maybe. And so they're building those now, and we hope to see some of them go live here in the next 30 days.
What are you hearing from your members with the Arizona Small Business Association?
They're excited. Like I say, I think this is a game changer. Right now, we're not going to see a lot of momentum, at least initially. I think it takes a couple of years before we really see a lot of momentum. But I think over time, I think within 5 years, 10 years, who knows what this is going to look like in regards to how now businesses are raising money, and really the opportunity to be able to bypass, as you say, the banks. And I want to say this as well. The banks actually are very much in favor of this. They know they can't lend to these types of businesses anyway, and they want to have those relationships as well with these companies. So this has really been very much of a community support from all the stakeholders. So we're hoping to see this thing really take off here in the next few years.
Well, when it's up and running, we'll have to come back and revisit this.
You bet. We'll be
Thanks, Rick Murray, so much. Appreciate it. Friday on Arizona Horizon, it's the Journalist Roundtable. Presidential candidate Donald Trump is coming to town. Hear how he might affect the GOP, and a new poll is out on the wide-open Congressional District 1 race. Those stories and more Friday on the Journalist Roundtable. Have a great night.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.